A very good morning to all of you. Welcome to today's news analysis. We are doing the Indian Express Papers Chandigarh edition. And welcome to December. Okay. Now, before starting, I would like to tell you we have a Telegram channel, IS Primers. You can enroll over there and practice current affairs based MCQ questions, 5 questions daily. And I also share important PDFs which I have referred while preparing this analysis. So that will help you with your mains answer writing. Now moving on. So you can see the topics over here of this. There was an advertisement of Haryana government with respect to the education domain. So I have done some additional research and I have shared with you some PIBs as a PDF for your reference. Right. So this will help you with your pre as well as mains. Right. That's it. Rest we will keep covering. So coming to the first article, it tells us about exit polls. So elections commenced in Rajasthan, Chhattisgarh, Telangana and MP. So exit polls are divided in Rajasthan, Chhattisgarh, Telangana, Congress are in favor. BJP is most likely to come in Madhya Pradesh. Now, important topic. We have a surprise GDP data. It was projected that the GDP estimates for the second quarter, that is July, September, would be around 6.4 to 6.5%, according to various estimates. But the data that has come, it is 7.6% of the GDP. So surprise estimate has come over here. Okay. And this 7.6%, it is believed, it is mainly coming from the manufacturing sector. So manufacturing pushes the GDP. Okay. Now, that's it. And it also says the government spending has fueled the economy. Government is spending, as we know, on infrastructure. And with that infrastructure, it has propelled economic growth. So that is what it is saying over here. And besides, I can also tell you from by experience as well as from the editorial section also, the growth data is also propelled by the favorable base effect. Previous year's second quarter data may have been lower as compared to this year's. So that may have showcased a higher growth rate. Now, let us look at a question that was asked in mains with respect to government spending fuels economy. Look at this question. This is how UPSC is asking us questions in GS3. Investment in infrastructure is essential for more rapid and inclusive economic growth. Discuss in light of India's experience. 2021 question. I can twist this also, and UPSC can also do that. Investment, this is a strategy of the government, that is investment in infrastructure to propel economic growth. Discuss the sustainability of such action. Discuss the sustainability of government's ability to keep spending to propel economic growth. The main thing is we have to focus on private spending also, the private sector's participation also. So it is not sustainable in the sense that fiscal deficit, etc., will increase. Okay, so another dimension also we can introduce. Prime Minister says, and by the way, Prime Minister is in Dubai at the moment for attending the COP summit, COP 28. Okay. In the meanwhile, Prime Minister, issued the the appointment letters in the Rozgar Mela, and there he said that his 4 major priorities are addressing the issues of the poor, the youth, women, and the farmers. Okay. Now, with respect to this one, Rozgar Mela, we have already studied that they will get access to the Karam Yogi portal. And Karam Yogi portal and the Karam Yogi scheme, Karam means work, Yogi means person who's doing it. So empowering that person, and it was introduced as a civil services reform. But the access to the Karam Yogi portal is available to all government employee, central, state, all employees, they will get access to it. As the people who have gotten the appointment letters through the Roskar Mela, they are also getting the access to this portal. Now moving to this US-Canada controversy with regards to the Khalistani issue. So US has raised this concern. US raised the concern of possible assassination of Pannun way back in August. So this was discussed with Mr. Ajit Doval, who is the NSA. Sullivan is also the NSA. He's the counterpart at the US level. Now, with regards to US telling India about this issue, India formed a committee, inquiry committee, to look into this issue. So Indian side is there. We are looking at this findings of this committee, and thereby we will take the action. Not giving up on coal anytime soon. So brief explainer. Basically, so the COP28 is there, right, at Dubai. So the summit is being held in Dubai with respect to climate change. We know that 2023 is already the warmest year, according to various estimates, like the report of the WMO, World Meteorological Organization, then the Global Emissions Gap report. So it's already the warmest year, and we need to do more about this. Now the COP28 is taking place at Dubai, and it is a global stock taking exercise whereby what all the countries have done, what all the world has done with respect to climate change will be assessed. So one thing that is coming to light is that fossil fuel consumption was to come down. That was commitment that all of the countries made, but that is not happening anytime soon, be it for the globe, be it for the world. Because if we look at the world data also, it is 36% overall energy is coming from fossil fuel. And in India's case also, we have 40% renewable energy. We have committed 50%, by the way, in the COP26 Glasgow summit. So 50%, the rest has to come from fossil fuel. We are not moving towards we are not moving towards nuclear energy. So rest has to come from fossil fuel. And renewable energy is not a steady supply of energy. There is a lot of fluctuations that take place. So we cannot do away with the coal-based power. And again, coming back to this data, 36% is coming from fossil fuel. 22% of power generation is coming from natural gas. Okay. Just a second. Molding futures. So we have Haryana government's, what all they have done with respect to this. So we can look at that briefly, and then we will look at the PIBs that I have shared very briefly, because I have already made the markings over there. So with regards to the Haryana government, they are working on something known as ease of study. Here also the same thing has been summarized. So they are focusing on ease of studying. So that is the what they are doing to improve the educational quality outcomes. Okay. Now, one of the reasons affecting the ease of studying is in unavailability of teachers or poor student to teacher ratio. So they are working on this student to teacher ratio. For this purpose, they have introduced MIS, basically in IT portal, which will give a breakup of the availability of teachers in different parts in different schools, and accordingly the government can issue appointment letters, or they can hire contractual or temporary teachers. Then many, especially from the poorer backgrounds, are not able to afford the fees. They are not able to have the uniforms. So uniform allowance for that. Besides, we are moving towards Digi education. For that, the Haryana government has E-Adhigam scheme, under which they will get tablets. Students will get tablets. Further, if you see, slew of initiatives for creating infrastructure. So we saw one on learning outcomes. Then, of course, we need infrastructure. Now, coming to Pan India, There is an emergent theme as when we look at the education sector of a country, primary, secondary, etc. There is an emerging theme and actually a criticism of India's education policy by the UNESCO, where they say that we have helped gross enrollment ratio. The gross enrollment ratio has gone up, no doubt about it. Under the Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan and the Right to Education Act, we have done that. Universalization of education, universal enrollment has been done. But learning outcomes are not there. The quality of education is not there. Long story cut short, we have buildings, we have bus, we have schools in vicinity to improve accessibility. So infrastructure, physical infrastructure is there, but learning outcomes with regards to teacher, availability of teacher, availability of good pedagogy, teaching methodologies. So that is missing. And this is reflected through various private assessments. And government, except for the government, all of the data says that the learning outcomes are a bit low. So we have Pratham, please, Financial Express. I'll share this article. I have shared this article already and shared one part of it in today's news analysis. So we have Pratham's annual survey of education report 2019. The year can keep changing. So this is an NGO working on this issue, annual quality of education. So they conduct survey of schools across the country and they take tests, right? And on that basis, it has been found to be lacking. For example, 51% children can read standard one text. So like that. Besides, if you look at the employability also, the youth that is coming uh, from the colleges, etc., but them being job ready or having the requisite skills, so that is also not seen. All this is available in this article. You can you can see it for yourself on Telegram. I've already shared it. Okay, moving on. I have shared this also. So this is about the schemes of the government, and one of the major scheme is Samagra Shiksha scheme. Samagra means holistic. So holistic scheme for education. Now we have Samagra Shiksha scheme 2.0. So Samagra, as it means holistic, it subsumes all the other schemes of the government. So for instance, this is a centrally sponsored scheme. So that means contribution is of center and states, and it subsumes Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan, Rashtriya Madhyamik Shiksha Abhiyan, secondary school Madhyamik, and teacher education. Fine. And it gives shape to Sustainable Development Goal 4. Goal number 4 is with the education. Besides, it will support the existing scheme of Parak and Nipun. Nipun is all for foundational literacy. This can easily be asked in the prelims MCQs. And Parak means assessment. Now, this document beyond this talks about interventions and policies of government in education, right? So what all has to be done? So all that is mentioned. At which level, what has to be done? You may refer this with respect to learning outcomes thing also. There is a talk of investing in ICT, talk about social audits, right? So learning outcome is not taking place. Why not have social audits over there? Okay, then we have this PIB, a very comprehensive one, with respect to almost every single aspect of education domain, enrollment ratio, dropout rates, children with special needs, pupil to teacher ratio, all the data is available in this PDF. Besides, I have marked it also with the highlighter and made some annotations also. For example, the dropout rate at primary level, you can just focus over here. You can see, sorry, this is the enrollment rate. So it is improving. Then the dropout rate has come down at primary level, right? At 4.7 to 1.5%, that dropout rate is there. Gender-wise breakup is also given. More or less, we see equity with respect to the data. Boys and girls, we see equity. Okay, now the other schemes of the government with respect to the education sector are mentioned at the end. Stubble burning down 27% in Punjab, that is the most logical thing to happen. It is nothing to do with the government intervention. It is just that the season is changing, right? Rabi cultivation is already done. So the stubble burning that had to take place has already been done. Okay. State is also committing about renewable energy goals. So 43% for Punjab. Next. Defense Acquisition Council nod to buy 97 Tejas jet, 156 combat helicopters, then some artillery guns, and then there is also area denial munition. It is basically mines. Right, so all that is there. So let's quickly look at what is the Defense Acquisition Council. So Defense Acquisition Council is basically under the Ministry of Defense, headed by the Defense Minister. There are these three chiefs also that are part of this. The idea is that Army, Air Force, Navy, they give their independent demands. So taking a holistic view of this, it is done by the DAC, headed by Defense Minister, not the Prime Minister. At the moment, they have released acceptance of necessity. Now, this does not mean that they have actually placed an order. It is just that, yes, we need this. So it is just initiated the process of procurement. Same thing, Rozgar Mela is mentioned over here. I've told you prior only. 475 million pledged to climate disaster fund in good start. Okay, fine. So COP28 is taking place in Dubai. One of the issues is climate finance. So 475 millions have already been committed. UAE has committed 100 million. They have a lot of money. Then European Union has committed 275 millions. So of this, 375 million has been stated over here. So this is one development that took place. Besides, loss and damage fund. Yesterday I asked you a question on this in the Telegram. Loss and damage fund, which was started in COP27, the Egypt summit. So this has become operationalized. Fine. So that's it actually. So these are the important developments. Then we have the WMO, which says that 2023 is the hottest year. They have already done this actually. The name of the report is Global Climate Report. So Global Climate Report is released by the WMO. Now coming to the editorial opinion page. So first one is on the economy. Surprise side on upside. I have actually covered this on the front page itself. The GDP 7.6 has for the second quarter, but it was expected to be 6.7%. Fine. Okay, 6.7%. This is because of favorable base effect in the manufacturing sector, primarily from here. Now, some matters of concern, they say that this will not be sustainable. Eventually, it will come down. Why? Because private consumption is slowing down from 6% to 3.1%. Investment activity continues to be healthy, however. Investment activity continues to be healthy. But there is sub-performance in agriculture. There are tighter financial conditions. For example, repo rate has been increased. Then with respect to the concerns about higher lending by the banks without collateral, no collateral loans, unsecured loans. So because of that tighter financial conditions, all of this may lead to downward pushing of the GDP. Let me tell you, there is one article on the economy side where the chief economic advisor disagrees with this. And he says that the data that has come, it is not to his expectations. He was expecting an even higher growth. And since that is not reflected, so due to favorable base effect, the GDP will be higher. Okay, next article is about Kissinger, a very famous diplomat who has shaped the US policy in the post World War order or during the Cold War times and post Cold War order. So there is one article over here. This is the long one, so we leave it. We do the shorter one, that is the editorial. And the focus is that Kissinger's statecraft, right? Kissinger's statecraft and what we can learn from it. Now, with regards to Kissinger, Kissinger is shaped as a villain as far as India is concerned. So Kissinger is shaped as a villain, projected as a villain. Why? Because during the Cold War time, he ensured the US tilt towards Pakistan. The US favored Pakistan vis-a-vis India. And this was reflected with the US support to Pakistan during the 1971 war. Likewise, US was pro-China. In fact, the emergent rise of China happened because of China or US aligning with each other. So that is one of the reasons why China got a lot of investments, and they had this leapfrog the economic growth. Okay, so that was there. Now, to Kissinger's defense, this was required. Why? Otherwise, Pakistan would have become an ally of USSR, which they did not want. Pakistan is well placed in meddling with the affairs of Afghanistan and other Central Asian countries. It was a good base for the USA to be there, but it could not afford it to side with USSR. And one more thing to be recalled, even though US favored Pakistan, no single shot or no act of violence took place between US and India ever. That is also to the credit of Kissinger, which is hardly talked about. Next, China is an ally of USA. That was also because it was required. China is a different country. It is not a democratic country. In fact, the Mao ideology goes against the US ideology of democracy. So that way, it didn't go align with the US policy, but it made sense for US because they compromised on their ideals and principles. Because again, they always knew China will emerge as a threat. They wanted to be friends with that. And secondly, China being communist, USSR being communist, this angle could have been ill afforded by the US. They were always conscious about this. In fact, they were also conscious that they need to maintain good relations, because sooner or later China will rise and India will be the breakwaters or safeguard against the US. It can be the stable power in that region which can compete with China. They were always aware of this, even in the 1950s. Okay, next. Post-Cold War, when the Cold War ended, the situation changed. USSR declined. Kissinger suddenly becomes a supporter of India. He advocated India-US ties. This was also reflected when India conducted the nuclear tests in 1998. He advocated the case for India, and he said that this is the reality of atomic India. We cannot stop it. So what we see is a person willing to compromise on the values, principles, be it for the country. So in favor of realism or pragmatism. His diplomacy was based on pragmatism and not so much on idealism. He was willing to do that compromise. Same is required in India's context. But given India's position, it can ill afford. It has to reorient its policy towards realism, because we accused Nehruvian era and all those things that we have been focusing on idealism kind of foreign policy, principle-based foreign policy. We have to move away, which we are seeing already during the Modi regime. But at the same time, we cannot afford to lose the balance between power and principle, between interests and values. We need to keep that in mind as well. Somewhere it will come to help you in your GS2 international relations. Somewhere it will come and help you. Maybe not directly, but indirectly, definitely it will come into play. Okay. Next article is about Election Commission of India and the issues with the EVM machines. So basically, if there are misgivings, then in that case, the Election Commission of India should address those concerns about the EVM machines. That if there is allegation that they can be tampered, so prove that it cannot be done. Okay, now coming to the world news. 3 killed in Jerusalem shooting after Gaza truce extended by a day. So the truce is extended by a day. Hostage exchanges are taking place. Okay. Russia top court outlaws LGBTQ plus activism. Fine. Next, Taiwan's president Tsai says that China is unlikely to invade Taiwan because it is dealing with its own issues. The economic is not doing very well actually. They don't tell actually, they're not very transparent, but more that is what it is felt. Now, how UPSC can ask us question, I feel this is a topic dealing with world history and the historical context of the emergence of China and Taiwan. There, that question can be asked, and this is part of your world history. It can easily be asked in the GS1 paper. Coming to the economy section now. Quickly, oil is 82.82, US dollar is 83.39. With regards to the economic growth, the chief economic advisor says that momentum is going to continue in quarter three. The good rate has come in quarter two. So this will reflect in quarter three because there is momentum. And further, when you read, he also talks about that this is not on the expected lines. He was expecting more. And due to the favorable base effect, quarter three results will be high. Now, this runs contrary to what we have studied in the editorial section, where it cannot be declined that private consumption is on the lower side. Next, officials, Ministry of Petroleum, they are saying that yes, the crude prices have come down $82, $81 per barrel. We are seeing on a daily basis. So they say we can revise, we can come to the daily regulation of prices provided the oil falls below, on a consistent basis, it falls below $80 per barrel. Right, then we will get into the daily revision of petrol and diesel prices. We are deregulated, but for the time being, they are locked. Okay, so that can be done only if it falls below this. Next, the oil exporters do not want it to fall. They want to keep the price steady, stable. So Saudi, which leads the oil cartel known as OPEC. Please look up OPEC on your research, right? Wikipedia, etc. Google OPEC, and also read OPEC plus. So they are telling the OPEC and Saudi itself, the largest exporter of crude, that please restrict supply. Don't supply more, because if you supply more, there will be more oil in the market, and therefore the prices will fall down. So they want to keep the prices up and steady. Okay. OPEC is also in talks with Russia. That also means that Russia is not part of the OPEC, even though it is a major exporter of oil and gas. Okay, next. 16 Finance Commission terms are short, but all encompassing. Again, nothing has been disclosed as such as to what are the terms of reference. And the most contentious issue is, with regards to the terms of reference, is Finance Commission looks into the one of many issues regarding finance, but one of the issues is devolution of tax proceeds, revenue proceeds of the union to the states, and how much and what would be the share of different states that formula it prescribes. So one talk was that we should move away from 1971 census population data to 2011 data, the most recent that we have. Right. So this is not being disclosed. Nothing is disclosed. All we know, this is short and dusting. Not lot of non-transparency can be seen. Not good actually. By the way, Mr. Somnathan is the finance secretary. GDP growth alongside core sector. Core sector is the backbone of any economy. It means infrastructure, because all other sectors of the economy are based on it. Core sector is mentioned in the IIP, Index of Industrial Production, which is released by the NSO, which in turn comes under Ministry of Statistics and Personal Information. Okay. And the core sector comprises of 40% of the IIP. You should also know the breakup, the weightage of the several 8 core sectors. So that also you should know. Arrange in ascending order, descending order type of questions. MG Motors, this company, SAIC, owns MG Motors. Jindal Steel has acquired 35% stake in a joint venture between JSW and this company, and this will be in the EV space. Problem in India US ties, we don't have to do it, right? So that's it actually. That's